Hello, hello, hello. I am a little bit early. Hey, Nace. Yeah, I'm early, so I'm just gonna wait for people to come in here. There's a reason I'm early. Hey, cool gamer. Trying to see one thing. Hey, Mel. So I had forgot this was tonight. Um, I had forgot this was happening tonight. So if you've been following the Debbie Collier case, I forgot that Amanda is speaking out tonight on a YouTube channel. And I was just reminded when I was in Melissa's chat. So we're going to talk about a couple things. There was definitely some things happening in Delphi today, but also, man, there's a lot going on. So we've got Delphi happenings. We have Amanda. Oh, it's alleged that they are going to make some sort of a statement. Law enforcement is anticipated to make some sort of a statement in regards to Debbie at the end of this week. We'll see if that's the case or not. But I'm gonna wait for some more people to get in. But what I was going to ask everybody is, I don't necessarily know how it works through the whole. So this channel, when I was reminded of it in Melissa's chat, that it was gonna be tonight, she had said that they only have like 400 people in that channel. So I mean, I kind of don't know what the strike thing is. Like, I'm a little bit nervous to get a strike, but I think we can listen to it without getting struck. If anybody's interested in listening to Amanda's interview now, I think it's a huge mistake for Amanda to do any type of interview with the case open and active. But I guess to each their own. So yeah. So hopefully some people will come in here and we'll be able to. It's on. Yeah, I think we can listen. At this point, as long as I don't monetize either, I think as long as I keep it from being monetized, I think I can stream it. It's not a big channel, but I mean, I really want to listen, so we might as well listen together, right? So just for a recap on Debbie's case, I anticipated, and I still anticipate, that law enforcement is going to eventually come forward here and say it's some form of an accident. However, I did see an article. Excuse me, I think I'm getting sick. In the New York Times today. If you guys have it, I was just watching Melissa Jade's live on Quentin. I'm telling you, if you haven't checked that case out or checked some of her lives out, like, she's really done some deep dives and she has some good stuff happening over there. So it looks to me that the son, so Debbie's son, Jeffrey, says still desperate for answers. The FBI joins her murder investigation. But the interesting part about that is we were originally, the FBI we thought was a part of it to begin with, but it ended up being that, is it Amanda's cousin? See, if it's Amanda's cousin that's speaking, which is fine, but it's definite clickbait, because that would make sense. But I hate that kind of stuff. But I'm sure she's speaking for her. We saw it, like Michael was speaking for whatever. So I'm just going to go ahead and stream it then. I don't care. But we were under the impression that like halfway through that the FBI was involved in her case, but it ended up coming out that the FBI is not involved. They weren't. That they were just seeking their advice for certain things. But now, according to this New York Post, which can be hit or miss, it says that The FBI has joined the hunt to find her killer. I still don't know if that's true. And her son says, I'm still sitting there questioning. Let's see. Now, if we also remember that law enforcement did say that they how do I word this? That it is possible that Amanda knows who she was talking about in regards to they. Hey, Rebellious. So let's see what we got going on over here. Because I'm just gonna share it. I don't care. But I wanna hear what the cousin has to say here. It's apparently happening in 1 minute, and she's allegedly going to be speaking for Amanda. Hopefully I don't get struck by this, but it says that it's going to be like a 4-hour live. I'm not streaming 4 hours at all. But, you know, I'll stream some of it. So we'll see what she has to say. I'm surprised she's speaking out. I really am. I really am. And with Delphi, y'all, just to hop over to that really quick, not that we're gonna go back to it eventually. Oh, I'm tired. I had to host a birthday party tonight for my mother-in-law, but Richard Allen, it's Amanda talking in her cousin's live. Oh, that's her cousin, Mel. Oh, COTR. Candace, you're right. Wow, okay. So here we go. We're gonna hear it. If you don't see me tomorrow, it's because I got struck. But I'm sure I'm not the only one that's going to be streaming her. So those of you that are in here, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is a good move on Amanda's part or a very stupid move on her part? I think it's stupid on her part, but I also think it's stupid that Billy Joe ever came to YouTube. These people coming on YouTube when you know these investigations are active like this, especially high profile cases, I think they're out of their mind. So I'm just curious what you guys think. If you think it's a mistake that she's speaking out, or do you think she has nothing to lose?
The body of Debbie Collier was found in a wooded area just outside of Athens, Georgia. The strange details of the case, which includes a cryptic Venmo message, arguments over some CCTV video, and just a ton of other pieces of evidence, has caused us to gain national attention. Law enforcement hasn't held a press conference in over a month, which has caused speculations, rumors, and accusations to just be thrown out in just about every forum you can think of. So what do you do if you're in that situation? Do you stay quiet? Do you speak out? You know, in my opinion, and I've said it many times on here, staying silent, that's the right move. For me, I'm not talking to anybody without an attorney, but it really is a catch-22 because we live in a world where remaining silent makes you look guilty. So people will speak publicly to avoid that. But when you do, you end up having armchair detectives use every little frame to try and substantiate their theory as to why you committed the crime. However, there are times when you just eventually have to say enough's enough, and you come out and you have to say something. And that's exactly why we're here tonight. As most of you know, Amanda Bearden is Debbie Collier's daughter, and we are very excited to have her on with us tonight. Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Now, first, Candace and I, along with a lot of other people, we've received probably hundreds of messages from others. We want to offer our sincere condolences to what's going on with this to you and your family. I'm not sure a lot of us can actually grasp what you're going through and what your family's going through to not just lose a mother, but in the way that you did. So we just want to say, you know, we feel for you. And during this interview, there's a lot of questions, and it's just a conversation. It's just the three of us talking, and there just happens to be a couple of people listening. So, but as we're going through these, if there's a question that you don't feel comfortable answering, just let me know. With that being said, though, there are a few that, you know, you are going to have to answer, because not only the people watching, but I want to know too. So, I mean, you know, obviously the Venmo stuff, the Family Dollar, CCTV, some phone calls and timelines are definitely something that
Hey,
we do
Molson
want to
man,
make sure that
happy hump
we
day.
kind of clear up and get the answers from you.
Why is she doing
But first, before we get into that, I really want to talk about your mom, because so many of us know her just by what happened. We know her from just the CCTV video. We don't really know who she is. So can you tell us a little bit about your mom and like what kind of relationship you had with her?
My mom was my best friend.
Hey, Beatlemaniac.
She was a consistent source of joy, support, and love for me. She, I'm sorry, I'm kind of scrambling here.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
She, I'm so sorry. Someone is messaging me. I'm sorry. I'm getting nervous, y'all. I'm really sorry, but my mom,
It's okay.
she was just a bubbly, happy, strong individual. She didn't let things get her down, no matter how hard life was, especially growing up. She was always pushing forward, moving forward. She was a very private person.
It is Molson man. I'm
she
shocked.
didn't let her,
I'm thinking,
dirty laundry.
I mean, Amber, me too. I'm
fly
thinking
around.
this
I guess
is
that's
not
not.
fun.
A lot of people that claim to know her. I'm not talking about everybody, but
Right.
they don't really know the ins and outs.
This
of
is
my
on
mother, even
COTR.
those that are
channel.
related to her.
Make sure you go subscribe.
They don't. Yeah, they just don't know her on the level that I do, but I'm going to push forward. My mom was big on, well, when my brother still lived in Georgia.
I agree, Molson man.
Anyway, I'm not going to go on that, but she was about, Sunday dinners and growing up, I guess it was like 15 or 16. Her and my dad split up. They got divorced, and mom was so big into like holidays and stuff that we made our own traditions. We
What's
like
the
every
matter?
Christmas we had it, and it was one of her favorite meals, a steak, salad, and a baked potato. She loved to cook. She had an amazing potato topper that was about 90% butter, and anyway.
So the typical Southern recipe of everything, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Cardiac arrest. But she was just full of life, and she there I've struggled a lot in my life, obviously, but I've had tragedy in my life, and my mom was just always there, to say, baby, she always had the right things to say. She let me know that I wasn't alone in this world, and she just validated me all the time,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, and I sent some pictures to her last night that my mom sent me, and in every one of them, it was our mom's cooking. So I feel like that's literally all we did was eat. Like that's it. They're just everything was cooking.
Yeah.
So they were serious about some Southern food.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that, and I don't want you to get too upset before we start talking about some of these. So let's just go ahead. Yeah, yeah. No, I would say I understand, but I don't. I mean, I
make sure if you can sub to him.
So
obviously,
we did have a lot of
streaming this
questions from
live,
people. So just
out of respect,
I'm
I
just go ahead and jump
typically
into
try
those.
not to.
I want to start with
but we all want to see
the
this,
questions
so
about
I do it now.
that have been going on with your mom and the day, that Saturday or on September 11th. So the first one, a big one, is
I know Molson.
The argument or the debate or whatever you want to call it of the woman in the CCTV video at Family Dollar. Do you think that's your mom?
It absolutely was my mom. The jersey that she was wearing, she's probably had for over a year. It was just something that she would throw on a game day. She worked through the week. Saturday was her day to go shopping. And I would
I think so
assume
too,
that
Molson,
was
yeah.
why she was dressed that way.
I know there's been some talk about people wearing white tights, but if I remember correctly, she had very Caucasian legs. So those are her white legs.
My mom would never wear tights anyway. She would wear pantyhose, but never tights.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. But
I know, Amber.
So for those who say it's not her, I mean,
Her brother says it's not her.
You think it's definitely 100%?
it's
her
definitely
in the
my
video.
mom. If you know my mom
Hey, Red Rock.
and her body type, her hair, you would know it's my mom without a shadow of a doubt. I don't care if a visor was covering her face. I know without a shadow of a doubt that's my mom, and I don't understand. I don't get where that's coming from.
Okay. Now, after she went back out into the parking
Hey,
lot, she
Sandy.
was there for a little bit before she left. And
All right, Diana. Hey,
people
Allie.
have asked if we would ask you what you and your mom were talking about when you were on the phone with her in that parking lot.
I wasn't on the phone with my mother. I'm not sure why she was there for the amount of time that she
I do
was.
too, Molson.
Excuse me. But no, I didn't speak on the phone with my mother at all on Saturday. We had exchanged some texts prior that day.
That's not true.
But I didn't speak to her on the phone at all that day.
That's not true. Am I wrong?
So
there's
been some talk about the text to Jeffrey not going through, and then the Venmo. Do you know when those were sent? Like, did she send the Venmo in the parking lot and then the text later, or was there a different order? Like, how did that? Which one was sent first?
To my understanding, she had texted my brother actually first, and then I had received I'm sure the whole world can go back and look, but the Venmo that I had received was at 3:17. Yeah, 3:17 p.m. But yeah, it was in that order.
Okay. Now the Venmo is one of the biggest things and the biggest questions that we got. But I will tell everybody we're gonna skip that for a second because I want to just focus on that in a different section so that we can talk through that completely, and we're not trying to put it in the middle of this. So, like I said, we'll talk about that in a bit.
Hey, SA.
There isn't any record or anything that we've seen or read where she had sent anything to Steve. Do you have any idea why that may be?
I'm definitely not gonna sit here and act like or say anything derogatory about my stepdad. He has been
I see
very
what she's
supportive.
doing.
He's listened to me. We've kind of cried together even. That I can't answer. But I do know that her children have always been the main focus in her lives and the two people that she loved the most. So, I mean, I guess maybe that's why.
And babe, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt whenever. So,
Molson, man, I think
so
you're accurate.
Police came out initially said it was deliberate and intentional, and led everybody to believe it's homicide. They later came back and kind of walked that back a little bit, saying that it may not have been murder. You've come out and said that you believe it was suicide, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And kind of, if you don't mind, what is leading you to that conclusion?
I'm not. There are key intimate things that were shared with me that I don't feel, I'm not a place in authority to say things and then, be accused that I'm lying, or, my opinion just doesn't really matter, I felt like, at this point. But no one saw her that day prior, on Friday. There were actions. My mom was like giving away
She's
things that,
lying.
now looking back on, I'm like, well, that was weird.
She's lying. Andrew said they
She
had
had made
lunch.
some comment. It just almost seemed like she was giving me all of her things. And there was some comments that she had made. She had taken that whole week off, the week of this happening, off from work, and I, it's Friday. I said, Mama, it's getting Friday. You're gonna go back to work on Monday. And she says to me, yeah, I can't wait. And
Is she for real?
I was like, Mama, what kind of sense does that make? Like, who looks forward to going back to work? And she said nothing, and it was just the saddest. I mean, even when I seen her Friday, because we hadn't seen each other in a minute, I saw tears in her eyes. I'd never seen her that sad. I kept asking her, Mama, are you okay? Are you okay? And it's funny, when she had left the house, she wouldn't even tell me goodbye. Just looking back on these things,
She just said no one saw
to
her.
me, I just wish I would have,
Wilson.
I mean, it's not that I didn't say, hey,
Am I
Mama,
hearing wrong, y'all? Because didn't
what's
she
going
just say
on?
that no one saw her the day before?
But I think she was
But then she just said when I saw her on
dealing
Friday.
with stuff that
Friday's the day before.
she didn't burden me with. I mean,
Yeah, and babe, that's Candace,
When
that's
law
kind of
enforcement asked her
that's not
originally, she
uncommon.
said her
No,
mom
not at all.
had no
I
depression
think
whatsoever.
a lot of times that is why it's so hard for people when a loved one does die by suicide to get through the denial phase, because they either saw no indication
Thank you, Diana.
whatsoever, or
Oh my
there
God,
were
Wilson,
things that
yeah.
they didn't see at the time that they're looking back and thinking, oh my goodness. And it's so hard for them
She's screwing
because
herself
they
over
start
so bad.
thinking they should have seen it. And so that upsets them, and they just automatically are like, no, that couldn't have been it. But you don't know. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going through somebody's head. I mean, people seem very, very happy up until the last minute sometimes. I mean, you couldn't have known.
my mom was so strong too. I mean, I can't stress. I mean, she's the toughest woman I've ever met. And I'm not just saying that because I'm biased, or maybe I am biased, but I just never in a million years.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
you don't have to apologize for being upset. Just a couple other questions that some people had about that. One was,
I agree,
people
guys.
were asking if she was attempting to make it look like foul play for life insurance purposes.
To my knowledge, there is no life insurance policy. I mean, I don't really know or think whatever
Right,
I
Mel.
thought would make you think that's your business. But I think the reason my mother, the then my text read the way that it read, was because she knew that I battled with mental health, some pretty serious mental health issues myself. And I think maybe she just said those things to make maybe the acceptance of it easier. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close my mouth.
And some have also asked if you have any ideas as to why she was so far away from home to complete suicide. Like why she didn't do it closer to home or in a different area. Why was she there? Do you have any ideas as to why?
I don't know. Maybe she thought. I mean, there's no way she couldn't have. It couldn't have crossed her mind that I wasn't gonna do
We've just
everything
caught her
I could to try
two
to find
lies this
her.
interview.
I'll never believe that.
Maybe not even
but,
lies, just contradictions.
I mean, honestly, I don't know.
You know, for a lot of people, they don't want to ruin a place for somebody or a situation.
I agree,
So,
Molson.
I wonder if it was that she thought, if I do this here in my home or in our hometown, they're always going to associate this place with that. And it's going to be hard for them to interact around here, and people are going to talk about it and hear about it. And so she went far enough away that she thought it would stay private. Little did she know that it came about the way it did, that it blew up in the news.
She
Unfortunately, I
She
don't
would
know.
never have left you being accused of this ever.
My mom would be very ashamed.
Yes.
Of people that have cyberbullied me. She'd be rolling over in her grave right now.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question only because it was asked by a few people. Is your mom making meth in the forest?
Oh my God. No. That one I actually laughed at.
they haven't. She's running with this narrative. Brother is not. Brother says no.
Whoever said that and started that, you're a horrible person. I can't help that. But no, absolutely not. My mom had back problems. She struggled with back problems her entire life, and
she hurt her back in an accident, Amanda.
I mean, she took the medication that was prescribed to her, but no.
That's what you said.
Yeah. I didn't think so. I didn't think that was the thing, but people have asked, so I just wanted to make sure, because we did get a ton of questions, and we did our best to kind of put these together so that way we could get through as many as possible, but there were a lot. But I wanted to make sure, because that one was asked a few times, I wanted to make sure we cleared that up. I want to kind of go on to you on that day, the things that you did and that. But so we're going to get to Venmo in just a minute. I know that's probably what everybody wants to know.
Everybody's keeping track of how many times we catch her in lies that she's changed.
The message was sent at 3:17 according to records. So when did you see it?
It's about 5 o'clock.
Okay. And everybody, they want to know, like, why did it take you so long to see the message?
I was, I mean, as most of you all know, I'm so sorry. I got makeup in my eyes from crying. I was cleaning. I was steam cleaning my carpets. And I'd stopped, because me and my mom normally go back and forth all day. I was like, you know what? It's been a minute. I hadn't heard from her. And I don't know. I don't know. I just had some sort of feeling over me. I mean, to be completely honest, because it was weird. So, I checked my phone and there was the message.
And so there's some speculation about the timeline between when you saw the message and when the 911 call was made, and kind of some of the things that you did between those times, like going to look for her versus making the 911 call, or making the 911 call going to look for her. So like after you got that message, can you just kind of walk us through
absolutely Red Rock
what you did next?
Absolutely.
Well, first of all, I was in a complete state of terror, anger. I mean, I was a basket case because I didn't know what to think. I started calling Steve over and over and over again. I finally got in touch with him while I was on. I actually went over to my mom's house because I mean, what I had just read, I didn't want to believe. Pretty much. What is that noise? Is that me?
No.
It's our schnauzer snoring under the desk.
my earbuds they died, so I was like, is that mom? Anyway,
This is Amanda's cousin.
But
allegedly.
you know, I went over there with him, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I was screaming and yelling at him, "Where's my mama? Where's my mama? Where's my mama?" And it took a minute for us to both calm down and just to mentally kind of try to process what this is, you know, because neither one of us understood. And that's when we called the police.
Okay, so the phone call to 911 was made first, and then because there's some reports that you went to look for her at Ulta and Walmart. So for what I'm hearing, you're saying that you tried to get hold of Steve, you went to your mom's house, and then you called 911. So you weren't out searching for her for hours before you made the call.
No.
So law enforcement's lying.
So I've listened to the 911 calls, and you know,
I know, right?
I will be honest. When I first heard of this case, I was on the side of that you did it, and I was there for a while. Just being honest with you.
I get it.
When I listened to the 911 calls, it didn't immediately change my mind. I thought either that you were an amazing actress and like one of the most stone cold sociopaths ever, or that you were involved somehow, and that the gravity of what you had done, that those emotions were coming through in the 911 calls. Listening back to them several times, I don't think that anymore, but there are people that say those calls were scripted, like that you wrote them out and that you basically acted out, you know, a one act play.
Not really, Beetle.
With the 911 operator.
Devastated.
So kind of like, what's your thoughts when you hear that?
You're a psychopath. There is something really wrong with this world. To try to pick apart, and I mean, this is cyberbullying on steroids. I mean,
well, you've lied.
I'm sorry. Maybe I'm getting off track, and I apologize, but I gotta put this out here. All my family turned against me. So I get it. I get thinking, you know,
she is Ladybug, isn't that
crazy.
rich?
But you're horrible, awful human beings, and I pray that the trauma and the pain that I've had to go through when the police do make this press conference, which they told me that they will. I hope you don't do this to another family. Oh
my gosh, they're gonna label it an accident.
There is no way
unaliving.
There's just no way I could have come up with all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's human nature to speculate, especially when we don't know what's going on. And let's be honest, like the details surrounding your mom's case. I mean, it's not your average crime scene or your average anything. I mean, all this stuff's going on. So, I mean, people can speculate. And like I said, I was a firm believer that you did it. I just didn't tell anybody that except for Candace. But, you know, we kind of went back and forth on it for a little while. But I don't know why people would attack others like that, but to each their own. Another thing is the time law enforcement arrived at the scene versus when you did. There have been a lot of comments and a lot of questions asking how you beat law enforcement to the scene. So can you kind of like how did you get there so fast, or did you get there that fast? Like, just kind of walk us through that too, please.
Okay, so I woke up and you know, checked my phone because I knew, you know, I'm begging and pleading with my mother all night, you know, answer the phone. Just say something. And when I woke up and I didn't have anything on my phone, I knew, Amanda, you're gonna have to show your butt.
Molson, they're her cousins. That's why.
Get somebody to listen to you. So, and I had tried the night before, but I called Enterprise. Enterprise was closed. At that moment, I mean, judge me all you want, but I didn't think to call roadside assistance. But I did Saturday morning. I first called their call center, and I pretended to be my mother.
Saturday morning,
saying that because I thought, hey, if I call these people and I say I'm in trouble, they're gonna send somebody out to me. Send somebody out to the van, get her help right now.
It's actually really good thinking. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm racking my brain, but people don't see that. They don't want to see it. But the girl that I talked to, she gave me the rental agreement number, and she said, you're gonna have this to speak with roadside assistance. And I hang up, I called roadside assistance, and we kind of got into it because I guess they could obviously tell I wasn't my mother. I was like, look, someone's life's at danger. Like, I was saying anything and everything I could to get somebody to listen to me. And they basically, no, this is what ended the conversation. I said, GPS my van because I have a tire out on the van. And they tell me, well, this vehicle specifically doesn't have, I forget what they called it, but they said that the van didn't have it. So they could, triangulate where the van specifically was. So from there, I hang up and I called Athens Clarke County Police Department. When I initially called, I said, look, I need to see the lead investigator on my mother's bolo disappearance. I don't know the technical terms here, but the lady said there's no one that works on Sundays. Let me get you somebody. Let me get, I'll get somebody to call you back. Mr. Sergeant Johnson, I think. Yeah, I think he's a sergeant. Very nice man. I expressed to him, and I'm pretty sure that's what you guys heard. I expressed to him my situation. He agreed with me. He said, I definitely feel like something's going on here. Anyway, he took it very seriously. He told me, I'm going to try to keep you updated as much as I can. I don't remember.
Thank you, Beetle.
I guess it was about 11 o'clock. I want to say 10:30, 11 o'clock. Sergeant Johnson called me back and he said, hey, does your mom have a reason to be in Raven County? And then immediately I'm overtaken by terror. I then knew something was seriously wrong. I jumped in my car and I went as fast as I could to Raven County. It's about an hour and a half drive out there. And then I'd gotten another phone call from him. I pulled over. I saw that he was calling, and as I'm pulling over, I look at my GPS. I use Waze. And you know how it shows you where police are. As I'm answering the phone, I noticed that there were 2 cop cars not far from me. But I pull over and I take the phone call from Sergeant Johnson, and he says, okay, we found the van, and it's near a campsite. But I can't tell you where it is. I don't know specifically where it is. And not even 3, 4, 5, I don't know, 5 minutes. Excuse me. I'm going to let that say there for a moment. He said a campsite. I get on Google and I'm Googling campsite. Anyway, I get back on the road and I run right into these deputies. I saw the van. I got out of my vehicle and I'm yelling and screaming. I said, "That's my mama's van. That's my mama's van." And that was anyway, I asked the police officer, I said, because I don't know where I'm at. I asked him, I said, "Can I go? I've got to pee." And he tells me, it's just like, anyway, not even a quarter of half a mile, maybe down the road. I went, he said, "Look, there's not much." Well, I did speak with them for a minute. He said, "We're calling." He said, "We're going to get the canine out here. And then we're also, if we don't find her within a reasonable amount of time with a canine, we are going to get a helicopter out here." And so I went to use the restroom. I came back. The canine was there. He was already there.
I know.
They were maybe in those woods 10 minutes. And the police officer came back and he said, "Come here." And I knew. Yeah, I've argued with him. I even hit his bulletproof vest a few times. I'm sorry. I didn't hit him, but he was just hugging me. I kept saying, "Where are you sure? Are you sure? How do you know?" And he wouldn't tell me anything. He just said, "Believe me, she's gone." Anyway, that is all the steps I took that day.
So what I'm hearing is like you were kind of doing your own, like, looking for your mom. And when you heard she was in a certain county, you just started heading that direction, which is the reason why there wasn't a huge difference between the time law enforcement got there versus when you got there. Because you weren't staying at home.
Yeah.
You weren't at home when you got the call, right? Is that what you're saying?
I was determined I was going to find her.
But I thought you didn't go looking, Amanda.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. You're fine. You're fine.
You're fine. And how you reacted is completely normal. I mean,
I knew I would get down in that fight. Sorry, I interrupted you, babe.
No, you're fine. It's completely normal. I mean, the immediate response to
I think she's got some emotion, but I don't think
that comes out in fighting.
It's the lies in the beginning that I can't get over.
You go into a panic.
Sorry, I have to do some commentary.
Law enforcement was so good to me, though. Obviously, you guys can see.
This is so cringy to me.
Habersham County
angry
really changed my opinion.
I'm not buying any of this.
So much that I got to get this out here. Family members, whatever, yada yada yada. Sit there and say, "Oh, I was there through everything." No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Some of them weren't even in the state of Georgia at the time. But and I'm not going to name any names, but if you had been there, Mr. George Kaysen, and I'm sorry, Mr. Kaysen, but this man took my mother's passing seriously. He was fired up.
You better.
I'm not going to repeat any of the things he was saying to me or whatever, but he genuinely acted like that was his mama out there. So, I don't.
But yeah, brother,
the criticism that law enforcement has been given, it had been for me.
And I would hazard a guess as to maybe that's why you're who they talk to. I don't speak out of turn, but.
Well, throughout of this, I've had family members,
that would be where
they didn't understand. Why no one was speaking to them. Well, maybe it was because
I agree.
I didn't harass them. Maybe, even, I'm not going to say they had their opinions, of me in the beginning, but I wasn't worried about it. I knew that the truth was going to come out, and I told them, I said, y'all going to end up apologizing to me. And that's exactly what happened. But I mean, I really feel like law enforcement, I know for a fact they, because of some of the accusations that were made there by family members, again, not going to name any names, but they directly accused me of murder. And I mean, if I know anything about law enforcement, they're going to take any type of statements
I think
that are
so too,
made,
Sandy.
and they're going to
And
follow
she's
up on
referring
those
to her brother.
statements.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. So I think that's what made them look at me a little harder, even. But they've gone through those phone records. They have, one of the things in my apology that I'd gotten,
Wilson. Yep.
they said, we've asked certain people, key things about your mother, intimate things about your mother, and they were like, nobody else can seem to answer them, and we've seen who was closest to her, and this is why we're speaking to you. And family members wanted to say, oh, well, you told them me. That's not the case. I will go on here and say the police don't owe you anything. I mean, they don't owe the public an explanation for their actions. They don't. I mean, nobody in this world owes you anything. That's just the way I've been raised, and I've been raised to be tough. With that being said, but
Right. And just to make sure I understand, I know you're saying law enforcement is communicating with you, but before that, they considered you a suspect, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was interrogated. Well, I was spoke to Sunday night, and then Monday, while a
Sandy,
search warrant
I
was
agree with
being
that.
given, that key family member accused me of murder, and
Her
the
brother.
next thing I know, I'm in a cop car being taken away for an interrogation. They asked me if I would, and I agreed. I was compliant. I went willingly. But I guess it was about 6 weeks after. Anyway, whenever the memorial was, it was right before the memorial. We had a confidential interview with each other, and that's when me and law enforcement got back on a good page with each other.
But they did several searches and hours of checking into your alibi and searching your home, and
that doesn't mean she didn't have something to do.
And if you don't believe me, I mean, y'all have harassed the cops enough. Call them. I don't know what to say to you. That's your problem.
I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but I mean,
No.
it's a fair statement I would make. And I mean, did you submit like DNA? Did you do anything like that, or?
Thank you, Jason. In that Sunday night when oh my goodness gracious, the redhead investigator, she got in my face. She said, "You killed your mother." Anyway, it was very traumatic. But I mean, I guess she was doing her job, but she attacked me. Right after that, I said, "I want to give you my DNA. Take it. I don't want an attorney. I don't take my DNA." And the very next day, they're at my house with a search warrant, and
it doesn't matter.
That's when I willingly gave my DNA. Andrew actually gave his DNA. I want to say it was either that day or the next day. We willingly gave it to law enforcement.
I know, Sandy, but you
You're
were
better than me. I'd ask for an attorney immediately. You're not getting anything from me. But that's just me personally. No matter what happens, I need an attorney because I don't know. I would, and just that alone would make me look guilty, and I'd be just fine with that. But I'm not doing anything without an attorney. So, and I mean, I think it's good that they didn't just talk to you for a second and then, okay, you're good. Like it sounds like they weren't exactly like your best friend, and they shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't. He had a job to do. They had a job to do, and I respect that. I think that's the difference here. I respect law enforcement. They've been good to me. I think it's a respect thing.
Okay.
I thought it was a
So
woman got in your face.
let's talk about Venmo.
Okay.
So obviously, when you got the message, you were saying that you were a whole lot of emotions.
Kate, this
like
is her cousin's
confused,
channel. That's
and
why.
all that stuff. You didn't know what's going on. But I think the bigger question right now is, where's the money?
I am in possession of it. My accounts, there were weird things going on my accounts. I don't, whatever. I guess it was frozen. But I do know that the GBI, the FBI, they've all been involved, and recently it's been released to me.
So at one point they had it seized, and then you're saying
Yeah.
they gave it back.
Yep. Think what you want.
Well, I mean, I think that says a lot because I even spoke to a prosecutor about this and asked them, is that typical? And, their response, just like I thought, was that no, if it is seized, anything seized during an investigation is not going to be returned unless that investigation is closed.
Man, I wish I could interview her.
Because there's always that chance that it was involved in criminal activity, and that a lot of times, even if you're cleared, they don't want to give it back. So, I mean, the fact that you got the money back, I think, is amazing. And to me, just the fact that they released that money to you,
She
even after
didn't.
the FBI looked through it, says that there was no criminal activity involved with any of that.
She
Or they
did.
wouldn't
They
have given it
didn't
to you.
release it. Oh, I gotta wait until the end. But oh my!
I mean, I guess everybody thinks Habersham County is just a bunch of hillbillies, and
They didn't know where it is,
I
Amanda.
smarted,
We know that.
local law enforcement, the GBI,
Sorry,
and the
Kate.
FBI. But I mean, I guess thank you for your confidence. I'm not really sure what to do with that, but again, I don't know what to say.
Any idea what, like, it's such a weird amount. Like, any idea, like, I mean, between the message and the amount,
right.
everything else, like it's I think it's a big part of why there's so much, people on one side versus the other side. It just, this Venmo, it's very crazy.
One of my favorites was Annie. Oh my goodness gracious, you look like a pterodactyl, sweetheart. But wanted to say it aligns with my birthday. It's what Andrew owed at a rehab facility. Okay, well, first of all,
Wow.
the charge was related to marijuana. You don't go to a rehab facility for marijuana, not in my mind. And Andrew was never sentenced to go to a
You
rehabilitation
do if you
center.
don't follow your
So
probation, Amanda.
y'all, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs made that up.
No, she didn't.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
Well,
Now
we
I'm
even
I'm
showed
angry.
it.
I'm angry, y'all.
Understandably. And we even showed at one point that
I can't believe she called her.
the dollars were not adding up. Like they were coming up with all these equations to where it had to be the exact amount that Andrew owed. And, we pretty much debunked that whole theory. And instead of admitting, some YouTubers, instead of admitting that they were wrong, they just kind of doubled down and sent the info to Fox. And then, of course, Fox ran with it, which I think kind of hurt because then, Fox has a pretty long
You
reach.
should
And
really
so that
read
got out to the entire world
Andrew's
that,
probation
that's why you got that amount of
stipulations
money.
there,
Yeah,
Chip.
because you were actually on the couch and pulled those records.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It wasn't hard
it
to
wasn't
find.
difficult to find
Exactly, Sandy.
that money didn't match that. I mean, but it
Yep,
still
exactly,
is
Kate.
very, it's very, we're all still like, what? It's bewildering.
He's
It
not
isn't
buying it.
automatic. Like,
It
like
is.
it's not an even
Like,
number, so it is kind of out
I
there.
mean, you
but-
can understand why people would be like, what is going on there? She, with such an odd amount, I'm sure a lot of people think that you should know exactly what it was for, but you're saying you have no idea.
Yeah. I would imagine with such an odd amount, it might have been like just what was left in the account, or
That's what my thoughts were.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, it's going to be one of those things that I don't
Molson
think we're ever going to have a real answer for.
She screwed
I
herself
mean, it's
over
just,
so bad in this.
Only she knows that.
yeah. So let's go on to you being a suspect or not being a suspect. You've said you're not. So what exactly, like, what brings you to
Oh,
that
here we go.
conclusion that you're not a suspect in this any longer?
Well, because the GBI told me, I said, I'm not going to name his name because really just don't feel like that's my place, but, he's very kind to me.
Of course it is, Kate.
Anyway, it came out of his mouth, and he told me I would have my day.
Me neither, Sandy.
when it was all said and done, that because they were upset by the way
Kate, I'll send you the email.
not only they
address.
were
They
treated,
say
but
you
the way I've been treated. And they wanted to
email a question. I'll send it to you.
Obviously I kind of feel like they haven't done it as quickly as I've wanted it, because
Exactly.
I'm
Molson.
obviously here with y'all, but because they said it. Because they said it.
Now, there still will be a lot of people that won't
Yeah.
believe you, and it'll take law enforcement saying it before they believe you, and still even after they say it, I mean, it's just the world we live in. There's still going to be people that don't believe it. But do you have any indication or any idea when they're going to make any kind of announcement or say anything about this?
No, a family member, I guess you could say she's close. They tried calling the week of the memorial because I guess they were upset because of the way that was leaked or yada yada yada. They kept saying that
Just say your
I
brother
had something to do with the way they were sharing information, yada yada yada. But oh my goodness, I forget even what you asked me. I'm so upset, y'all. Where was I going with that?
Well, we're just curious if you knew when any kind of announcement was going to be made,
Oh,
even if it's not a full announcement, just kind of a, hey, this is what we know. This is who we know didn't have anything to do with anything like that. Any kind of update.
I kind of felt. I'm so sorry, Jason. They told, I guess you could call it, a close family. They told her that they were waiting on 2 reports to come back. And I think now, I thought law enforcement had the intention of making this information public, but I had another family member, I guess, was highly upset and offended because no one spoke to them. Again, nothing to do with me. They went out and publicly attacked law enforcement. So I feel like
this is her getting back to her brother.
Just prolong me being cleared. They don't care. My family does not care. But they handed it off to the FBI, maybe just to cross their T's and dot their I's.
So you just get to remain where you are right now until
Did
they
you
make an
catch that,
announcement.
y'all?
Yeah.
It's
But
on a
from
live.
what you're saying, I mean, once they do make an
FBI
announcement, then hopefully your life will go back to some
to dot their I's,
kind of normalcy.
cross their T's.
So social media it's a great time, no matter what's going on. And you've been relatively quiet on it, which I mean, I think that's the right thing to do. If I was in your situation, I wouldn't talk to anybody. But Andrew's been on there a little bit. Um, uh, like, how do you feel about that?
Honestly, I don't really have any kind of opinion about it. His heart was in the right place.
Thanks, Mike. I am cozy.
You know, maybe he got upset with a certain people. But it was only because it wasn't about him personally. I don't think it was more about. It was more about. Sorry, that's him. Don't talk to me again, please. I'm trying. But sorry, Paul. I think it was more. Nobody was defending me publicly, and he was tired of me being attacked, and he felt like the one person that should have been there, should have publicly came out and defended me, was the one that accused me of it. And all his feelings put to the side, all the garbage in the past, personal vendettas, that's not even what this is about. I feel like there's just been so much of, I hate Andrew. I hate Andrew. Andrew's a bad person. Let's jump on that bandwagon. Let's do this. Let's do that. When all you've done is taken away, the attention off my mother, which is what should have been the main focus. Just like family members, one of them showed up to the memorial and made it all about herself. Insulted my best friend. I mean, I can count on. I had 6 people in this entire ordeal. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but I had 6 people in this entire ordeal, including you guys, that had been supportive of me. And, my friend April, I'm not going to say her last name, but my best friend April, 20 years, believed me the entire time.
Who gives you money?
He was, to answer your question, he was upset because he felt like the people that should have been there for me weren't. They were nowhere around. People can criticize him all they want, but he's been there for me. So I don't care what your opinions are. Anyway, there you go. I know that was a really long drawn out answer, but
I mean, your answer is your answer. You did bring up the memorial service, and some people have asked what was it like being around family and knowing that, some of them accused you and some of them have specifically asked what it was like between you and Jeffrey at the memorial service.
It was the most awkward thing that I've ever experienced. The way Jeffrey set that all up is I was allowed 3 guests. That was my best friend, her husband, and her child. So I had 3 people there. But you can call them family. They're people I'm related to, aside from one aunt, my Aunt Sheila. But the rest of them, they all thought I did it. They all came out and told me to my face they think I did it. Some of them lied about it. Candace, I think you know what I'm talking about. But they lied about it. And then, there were the looks from older parties that were invited. And it was terrifying. It was horrible. I had to get up there and make a speech in front of me, I guess, giving my last respects or whatever to my mother, and everybody's sitting there thinking I did it. It was it took a lot.
I can only imagine. And I know, my dad passed away a couple of years ago, different circumstances completely, but I know
Take
that,
away from it.
but I know that there was some semblance of closure, that finality of it that day at the funeral. And I mean, Jason
I
was there, he
noticed she
knows.
said
So I
speech.
can't imagine not having that closure, not having been able to get up there and feel those things and, honor her memory and all with everything else going on.
They actually left me out of a lot of stuff. I offered to pay for certain things, and I mean, they did take some of my suggestions into consideration in the memorial, and but I mean, that was it.
Borrowed from your mom every other day.
That was the only kindness I was shown. I was even the bigger person. I felt like I was supposed to go second to last and speak, and
I gotta go grab my
I think the traditional order was, like
Kate,
the
you got it
husband,
for 1 second,
the
right?
oldest, but they
Yeah.
went
Go ahead.
but it was okay. I was supposed to speak second to last, and I let my brother go ahead of me because I was trying to be the bigger person. But I'm glad I went last because mine was the better speech anyway. None of them were sincere, but whatever. I'm rambling, but
It's pretty ridiculous when your whole family thinks you
We've
did
held
it.
all this
It
in for a
sounds
very
like
long time.
everyone thinks that.
All of these weeks and weeks and weeks that everyone else has been able to, daily or weekly put their thoughts out there, you're trying to get all of this out in a live stream at one time. So, I mean, that makes sense. You're trying to let it all out with these questions. So that makes sense. And I hope people are understanding of that. Surely.
we'll see, I guess.
Now I know there was
Definitely
some
on
things
something
going
you can't
around
take
about
the hill still.
the celebration of life service and when it was scheduled for. Did
sorry.
you have any there's some, I don't know, I just want to clear it up. Like from what I understand is you postponed it or law enforcement talked to you about. I don't know, just something like that. Can you clear it up for me, because I'm clearly confused.
I don't know. You're not the only one confused. So law enforcement reached out to me. I mean, they didn't know when I was having a memorial. How were they supposed to know that? But in the interview that I had with them, the only thing I had asked, and I don't know how it came out, I really don't, but the only thing I'd asked them is I didn't want to taint the day
Oh, really, Red
of
Rock?
the celebration. I wanted to leave that Saturday about positive thoughts about, her life and love, and that's the only thing I asked. I said, just please do it after the memorial.
And when you say do it after, is that when police kind of backed off of the homicide, and when they said it?
Yes.
Okay. So they came and talked to you about it and before they announced it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
They gave me that.
I feel like it had to be kind of a little bit of a shock then when all this time since then has passed and they still haven't come out and done that. It's like, okay, you were going to wait till that happens. So what now?
I think a lot of that has to do with my brother. Sorry, I'm not trying to call you out there, bro, but he's just prolonging it. I mean, I've already done what I guess he thinks he's doing. I guess in his mind he thinks, oh, well, I'm making sure she got a fair case. No, bro, I've already done that. The day that it happened, law enforcement was like, well, was there mental health issues? Was there mental health issues? No, my mind I didn't realize my mom's depression was as bad as it was, so I fought them on that. I'd already said there was no mental health issues, which that brought more attention onto me. I didn't just say, "Hey, yeah, it's mental health," I wanted it to be investigated thoroughly. I'm sorry. I hope that answers your question.
No, I mean, I think it does. I mean,
I'm sorry.
No, and Candace, for you, like when somebody does complete the act of suicide, I would imagine that people don't have the same
totally
reaction to it, and they don't accept it, or they don't want to believe it, or
Yeah.
like how does that work? Like, have you worked with clients like that before?
Oh yeah, and I mean, when
I know, right?
when people have a family member or friend that has struggled, like they see them struggling with, a certain diagnosis or certain things, then they tend to, take it a little easier. Um, Sometimes it's really hard though when you don't see it, or you thought, okay, well, they were a little sad sometimes, but I mean, who thinks that? Like, nobody thinks that. So I think for
I
some
didn't want it.
people, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think people go into denial. And I think also, and I don't want to say this in the wrong way and speak out of turn, but I think that some people, when they feel
Boom, you
guilt
got
about
it,
their
Mike.
own actions, they have a harder time accepting it, because then that means they have to accept that they left that relationship that way before being able to reconcile. And
It's amazing
I think
point,
that makes
Mike.
it harder for them to get to that place where they can have acceptance.
Yeah, and I would imagine too that with the details of this case and just how bizarre it is, I mean, I would imagine that would play some kind of role in like when you actually do accept it, or if you ever truly accept it. I mean, I wouldn't think that. I mean, because most, some people have trouble with just, I don't want to say normal suicide, because that's a terrible thing to say, but when there's so many things that go into this, and I'm sure law enforcement is doing everything they can, but not coming out and speaking more. I'm sure they're waiting until they get everything they need before they say anything, but not saying anything kind of prolongs everything.
Keep in
whether
mind they
it
just
be,
sent it to the FBI.
people who are still considered suspects versus what actually happened, and people being able to move on. But that's just me with my non-therapist background.
I have a personal opinion, but I don't know if this is what it is. So it's just completely my personal opinion. From everything that's come about, it seems to me as if the police are at that conclusion. And I think the autopsy's back. They're waiting on toxicology, and that could take a long time. And I think that they don't want to speak until they can answer every question, because they know, especially now after some of the criticism, they're going to get hammered in that press conference with questions.
Yeah.
And if they were to go up there and say, well, we know that she died by suicide. Okay, but how? Well, we don't know because tox screen's not back. How do you say that? So I think that they're waiting on that to come back so they can say, okay, it was this that did it, or this, that did, like it was insulin or pain or whatever it was.
Whatever.
Yeah, and I think that unfortunately every week that goes by, they're thinking that tox screen's coming back, so they're ready. They're like, yeah, we're coming out. We're going to let everybody know. And then before they know it, another week's went by, and
I
they
agree,
still haven't
Mike. It's
been able to come out,
driven both
on,
Kate and I
on
nuts.
live TV or whatever, and clear her and give any answers. And it's so unfortunate though.
Yeah, and I'm just concerned too that some of the details we're not going to have answers for.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, and that's also a little, worrisome, because obviously you want everything to be nice and tied over the bow, and we know exactly what happened, but I don't know if that's going to happen here. One other question that people are asking, and I will just tell you that even when I was team Amanda definitely did this, this still made absolutely no sense to me. But your move back from Maryland to Georgia just a couple days before your mom passed, like for me, when people were saying that was suspicious, in my mind, you got to be a special kind of stupid to do that. So,
Right.
and I'm telling you, and that's when I was on the other side. That's when I thought I thought you had something to do with it. And even that, I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. But why did you come back?
Well, there were a number of things. Number one, I miss my mama. The problems that my brother and I had,
Money.
he pretty much disowned me. I'm not going to go into that, but he was done with me. And I was just like, oh my God, I left my mama for this. Like, I could have stayed in Georgia for this crap. But I had a slow like sewage leak in my apartment. On top of see, I didn't live in the same apartment complex with my brother.
Ooh, I've been putting bad info out because I thought you did. That's my bad.
Yeah, no, he lived 9 minutes away. But
Okay.
So you're one of the problems, Candace.
I am. I thought it was the same complex. That's my bad.
Oh no, that's what law enforcement said.
Gotcha.
That wasn't you. Which is fine, whatever. But her sister and her boyfriend lived above me, and they really kind of played off my mental disorder. Told the landlord I was crazy, this, that, and the other. I'm not going to go over that, but it was just really horrible. I couldn't sleep a lot of nights because it was 87 degrees inside my house. I was tired of the drama. I was tired of being made to feel bad for just trying to live my life for myself. I was tired of being told what I shouldn't do when my name is on a lease. There was that. My job at the time was, y'all all know, Habitat for Humanity. There was really nothing wrong there. But my best friend, April, she contacted me one day and she was like, girl, I see and I hear you're miserable. I'm a recruiter. I can send, I guess I got myself the job, but it kind of get your foot in the door and forward that resume, and she did do that for me. And, just by knowing somebody, I got a really good paying job. Was almost $6 more than I was currently making per hour. And that was another reasoning. But that night, I drove through the night, Wednesday night. Just, I don't know what. I kept asking them to not turn the air off, AC off, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there. When you have bipolar disorder, if you don't get the correct amount of sleep per night, it messes with you mentally. And it was just that stress. I miss my mom. It was causing me problems at my job. Not problems, but I was making mistakes and my mind's all over the place with stuff. And it just, my best friend was being supportive. My mom was being supportive. I do want to touch on this too. There was stuff out there that my mom was scared of Andrew. They might have had their disagreements or whatever. What family doesn't? That's just whatever. Our arguments were before. I'm jumping all over the place, but I want to touch on that for just a second. Andrew's not a bad person. Our relationship is not what the media
It's like
is
watching
seeing.
you just can't look away.
part of our problem was me. Part of the problem was I wasn't diagnosed. I don't know if Candace, I'm not putting you in this bucket, but bipolar disorder. Where was I even going with this?
I'm guessing you were going to say it runs in families.
Yeah, I mean it.
Because they're cousins.
I was. I guess let me go into this tangent real fast. You can see arrests. My first arrest, I was 7 months pregnant and lost my child. Due to the birth weight of my child, it was considered a miscarriage. A lot of people in society don't recognize women that go through that.
True.
And I went off the handle. I'd never lost anything in my life. It really hurt my mother, especially. She was the only person there for me. Being a grandma was, and looking back on it, I don't even think she realized how much it hurt her. But that's what really, that loss is what, I mean, according to my psychologist now, it's really kind of what set off that bipolar disorder, because you're not technically, to get a diagnosis, you have to be at least 20 years old. From the studies I've personally done myself on bipolar disorder, you don't really get that kind of diagnosis until you're like 20-ish.
Exactly, Sandy.
But I went through life not knowing what was wrong with me. I got in really bad states of depression. I wallowed in my own pain for about 8 years. I had substance abuse issues. Think what you want, I don't really care. That was one of the things my mama promised me. She was like, "You're not coming back to Georgia, Amanda. If you can't promise me you'll be clean." I don't care what anybody has to say. I made that promise to my mother. I'm gonna keep it. But where was I going with all this? I'm an emotional wreck. But once I was diagnosed in August, my life made sense. The substance abuse made sense. Some of the jobs I lost or quit, for that matter, made sense. Unless there's tons of people that have bipolar disorder, but until you have lived a day in my brain, you don't know what it's like to wake up and not be able to go to work.
Lots of people do.
You don't understand what's going on with yourself.
Molson, I agree.
So yeah, I struggled for a lot of years. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder in August of last year, and I turned my life around. Nobody else is going to take that from me. I don't care what anybody else has to say. I got a good job in January. I got my life together. Andrew and my mother both supported me. And I'll go back to that argument, but I saved up the money. I bought a car. I saved up money to move to Maryland. I mean, just what drug addict has $4,500 laying around?
Yeah.
I'm not, and I will admit, I struggled there for a second with my substance abuse. I struggled for about
$4,500.
probably from August to December, and I just sat myself down one day and I got help. I need to know what's wrong with me.
You borrowed
It's
money
very
from your mother
common for
even
people
for
to
your
self-medicate
refill of
because
prescription.
all they
because
know
we
is
saw
they're
it on
hurting.
Venmo.
And when you're hurting that bad, you'll do anything to make it stop. And people being judgmental of that. Sorry, I'm not used to this being family we talk to where I have an emotional connection.
It's okay, babe.
But I mean, people are very judgmental about things they don't understand. But I see clients every day that struggle with substance abuse and they don't know why. And then we get them a diagnosis and a good regimen of medication, and it turns their life around.
I'm successful. Let me put that out there. I'm very successful. I do very well for myself. I'm not going to go into where I work, but I just work 4 12-hour shifts.
And for that job, and because there's people that still believe that you are, you know, on drugs, but I would assume that, you know, you've had to submit to drug tests to get the job, right?
Yeah. I will say this much: the interaction that I have with others in my profession, there ain't no way I
She
would
had
come to work
just moved
high
back
and
though,
somebody
like Debbie.
wouldn't
kill it.
notice.
Most definitely.
Yeah, Mel, like you're
Whatever.
them.
Well, and I imagine too, from my experience,
If you do
working with
heavy
people
enough
that
drugs, it can
struggle with
cause
bipolar disorder,
you to become bipolar.
when
from what
you're
I've heard.
manic, you get angry very easily and you overreact very easily.
Oh my god.
So I can see how that would have led to a lot of what people are seeing as all this domestic violence. I mean, it was probably manic episodes where you're losing your temper, and Andrew's like, "What the heck?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this crazy lady?"
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not a bad guy. And if you want to sit there, I'm not talking about y'all, but
No way. If a
judge
man
him
did that
however
right
you
there,
want. He doesn't care anymore. What you
Well, I will say this: any guy that can deal with a Bearden is a saint. Because I live with one, so I know Andrew. Like I know the pain he goes through.
I'm sure he'd greatly appreciate it. But he's been here. You don't know what it's like to be bullied, be robbed of the emotions that I should have been able to feel, and I wake up every day with some new nonsense. I just really hope me speaking,
I know. So
like you said, Jason, it's not gonna matter me saying if I'm not guilty or I am, but I just I'm sorry. If people are gonna think what they want to think,
Well, we just wanted to give you an opportunity to speak. I know that we hadn't pressured you to come on here. We
It's her
we were
cousin-in-law.
just like, hey, if you ever want to talk, come on here and talk, because to be quite honest, I don't trust news media. So and
especially not
that's
after this.
and that's why if something ever happened to me, that's another I'm not talking to them either. But I just hope that some people can at least, even if they still believe that you are guilty of something, hopefully they at least see you as a human. And hopefully we can the toxicology comes back or whatever they're waiting on, and these announcements can be made, so that way you can move on and you can grieve the way you need to grieve, and all of this stuff can that's you're good, you're all right.
Okay, I'm good.
Bless your heart.
But
You're fine.
we just and Candace and I mean, we weren't going to even talk about this case, and just out of respect for family. But the reason we did was not to prove your innocence or prove your guilt. The only thing we were focused on was, hey,
I think so. I don't.
we don't have all the evidence. Let's not just immediately jump
Yes.
on
Why don't
one
you come on a
person.
non-family member, please?
So
and come
that
to
I mean
my
that's
channel.
really the reason we started this.
I'll be nice, but I'll ask
because-
you
Yeah, I
real
mean,
questions.
I've heard several people say they're just trying to boost their YouTube, which is funny because we don't even monetize our YouTube. Like, I mean, I work 40 hours a week. I don't. This is not my money
You can't
maker.
monetize because
But
you
my
have
thought
400
was
subs.
when
You have a life.
but you're fine. But you know, I first said, you know, out of respect to family, I'm not covering this. But you know, a couple weeks, few weeks, whatever went by, and I just kept seeing the bashing and the bashing without facts. And I told him, I said, I cannot take it anymore. I said, we have a platform. Like, I mean, you know, we don't have 10 million subscribers, but if I can't use the platform I have to help my own family, what's the point? Like, what's the point?
Okay, so now bring
But
Jeffrey.
at the same time, you did say that if we go down this road and it turns out that this is what she said, I'm gonna bust her up. I mean, when we started this and we were going down this road, she did say, but if I find out, but hold on, because she did say, if I find out that she's lying and she did have something to do with it, I'm gonna bury her ass under the jail myself. So,
I did
just so
say
you
that.
know,
Hey, AJ.
like
I can't blame you.
we're still in the middle when we started.
Everybody's got
this,
my address.
Right.
Well, you
Thanks
know,
to
I
Fox
hadn't.
News.
Oh, God, yeah, I hadn't seen Debbie in years, but I just remember her always being so happy and smiling. And I mean, I legit can hear her voice in my ears. And when they played one of her calls and I heard it, it was the exact same thing I'd been hearing for weeks. And it was just, she's the only person who ever called my Uncle Joe Joseph. And I just hear her, Joseph, Joseph. Now, Joseph, don't say that, Joseph. I mean, just, I don't know. She just was, I don't know. She's just so bubbly.
Yeah, she was such a happy person. I mean, it didn't matter what she didn't even talk about herself most
The
of the
husband
time.
just spoke volumes. He said we're in the
We
middle.
only really had that kind of relationship. But,
Oh, I will mostly.
she was just all about trying to make somebody else happy, put a smile on somebody else's face, cheer somebody up. I mean, I've, you know, outside of the memorial or whatever, people, and it's, you know, it's only been a few because everybody thinks I'm a killer, but they'd be like, oh my God, your mom, you know, she was there for me. You know, we were so close. She helped, you know, she was a good friend to me. And that's who my mom was. Man, just,
No.
if she could help somebody, she was going to do it.
Well, you know, you went dark, which I totally get because who wants to hear all this? But because you went dark on social media, I've gotten message after message after message, and I've gotten so many messages from people that were like, "I knew Debbie from here. I worked with Debbie, or this, or this, or this," and they do. They just have the most wonderful things to say.
All right, she's got 2 minutes to answer something.
I'm sorry. I feel like
that matters
I
because
don't
I'm
want to
not
upset
done
you.
with this. Yes, they are Beatlemania.
She was just, I won't ever meet another woman like her.
No, but I promise, it will get easier.
And Sandy Todd, you are a horrible, horrible person. And I tell you what, you got my address. I would love to give you a real warm welcome. Please. I want to have a family reunion. Please. How dare you disgrace my mother's name? You took away someone that meant the world to my mother. And I am referring to my uncle. You have no room to talk.
Sandy
sorry,
Todd apparently.
You have
And
no
I mean,
room to talk.
I'm not gonna say very much out of we've done this whole talking. The only one person I've heard from is Sandy, and that was to basically cuss me out. And then she just deleted all the messages, so you can't see that she said any of that to me. I was like, well,
Sandy
all
Todd,
right, I
think
guess
it's
we're
like
not
a
for you.
step aunt or something. The
That's what
husband
it
knows.
is.
That little
How dare
anger.
you attack?
Look at him.
And that was
He's
another
right now
thing, you know,
thinking,
I
shut
wanted
up, shut up.
with my other cousin on that side. Do not attack the people the only people that have been there for me. It's just what kind of monsters are y'all? I think Scooby Doo taught us that. Monsters are people, you know.
Well, I don't know who goes after some, a couple of girls that are Candy and Mandy running around. I mean,
Right?
that is the most Southern thing ever. Like, well, hey, I know that tonight was very difficult. We really appreciate you opening up. I think it's important. I know it's not easy talking about this, and I know it's not easy to try and basically convince people that you did not murder your mother, especially when law enforcement has told you that. And there's a lot of people, and it's understandable why some people want to wait and have that final say of, okay, she didn't do it before until law enforcement says it. And hopefully that happens soon.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Andrew has also been cleared. I want to put that out there. It's just not me. It's him too. So
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I interrupted you, Jason.
No,
Sandy, I think
You're the
it's
most
like
polite killer I've ever met. I just don't.
like
Yeah.
a step aunt,
but
maybe.
I will say that there are a lot of people who have sent us messages that say they feel for you and your
Okay, are
family
we
and
done?
that they
Are we
support
wrapped
you.
up here with
And
this?
we've received quite a few messages of people that said, I thought 100% she did it and I don't anymore. And, tell her I'm sorry for me. And we will continue to pass those along to you.
And I
Say that
understand
she-
the people that were absolutely horrible, dragging your name through the mud and then tried to walk it back, being
Yeah.
frustrated with. But some of them, I mean, a lot of them genuinely are people that were just, they weren't being ugly. They just, the information that was coming out, they thought it sounded like you were a good suspect. But then they started, reading into it and were like, maybe this wasn't her. But you do. You have a lot more support than you realize.
And we just hope that, I can understand why law enforcement is waiting to make any announcements. They want to have all the answers because, I mean, because in a case like this, like you said, Candace, I mean, if they don't have all the answers that they can possibly get if they come out with a press conference and they don't have it, it's not going to look good for them. So I can understand why they're waiting.
I know, right, Mike?
I do. I am a bit frustrated that they won't at least come out and say, hey, we don't have all the answers, because and Candace and I were talking about this, and honestly, you don't know what you would do if you're not in that situation. However, I'm gonna do it anyway right here. I would at least come out and say, hey, guess what? We don't know everything. What we do know is that this person, whoever had nothing to do with it. And then
Instead,
I would
they
just
brought
walk
it to
away
the
from the
FBI.
podium, like, no further questions. We'll be back later when we have all the information. Like, at least to clear people, so that way, whether it's you or any other case of somebody that's going through the same thing, I just wish that those type of things would be said. I know that they don't have all the answers yet, but they do have some. But it is a difficult job.
No, Sandy,
and
we haven't.
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I don't live there, but I mean, I would think that Habersham County, GBI, the FBI, and whatever other law enforcement agencies are working on the case. I mean, I can't imagine the amount of hours and work that they put into this, and I mean, the pressure that they're under. I mean, Habersham County is not very big, and now this is a national story. So I can't imagine the pressure that they're under, and I know, they're working their hardest, they're working their best. I mean, they're doing everything they can, and and I appreciate the police departments that do that. And I just hope that these reports that they're waiting on come back, and when they do get them, I hope they schedule a press conference and immediately come out and start letting everybody know what happened, and not just you, but like everybody, whether they're associated with this case or not. We can kind of just say, all right, well, we need to move on, and then your family can grieve properly.
And I think it says a lot about your character that you've shown them so much grace. I mean, I think we've been more angry towards the police than you have.
Cousins
Because I'm like,
rebellious.
why are they not just coming out and
Yeah,
saying
I'm gonna
it?
shut it
And
off,
you're
Peter,
like,
because I
they're
don't think
trying
she's
to
gonna
do
say
their
it
job.
right now. We're on
It's
the
fine.
You're so amazing
And,
to her here.
you know, also I know, and I won't say their names either because you didn't, so I'm going to be respectful. But there have been family members that have said very, very ugly things about you and to you. And I think that it shows a lot of grace that you did not call them out specifically by name. They know who they are. They know what they've done. But I think that that's really nice that you know, you
Thank you.
gave,
She said bro,
you
and he
remain a
said
bigger
his name,
person.
so.
I think that says a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us.
All right, we're done with you.
I know the whole point wasn't to, make everybody believe that you're innocent. If no minds were changed, that's fine. As long as you feel a little bit better after tonight, that's good enough for me. And I'll be completely honest, Candace ignores me a lot right now because she's always talking to you. But
Sorry, Jason.
but hopefully there's a resolution that's provided soon, and then in that way, not just you, but your entire family. I mean, regardless of what's going on with inside of your family, everybody's hurting. It's
I hope
just,
they do find peace.
yeah, people are they're just expressing it differently. Everybody's hurting, so hopefully something will come out soon and you guys can move on. But like I said, thank you for taking the time tonight.
That was a mess. I literally had to minimize my screen because she was giving me so much friggin' anxiety. I was like, feeling like I was gonna have a panic attack because she kept touching her hair. Like, chill out, lady. She was like, waving it one way, another way.
I think my mouth hung open for most of it because I didn't. So first of all, no one they sent it to they've called the FBI back in for whatever advice or help, and Amanda said it's just so that they can dot their I's and cross their T's. They don't need to call the FBI in for that if they legitimately think this is unaliving. That makes no sense at all.
Nope.
That was a train wreck. Within the first 20 minutes, she lied and contradicted herself at least 3 times.
Honestly, I had a hard time even listening to anything she said because she was moving around so much. Like, she was dancing and she talked. It looked like she was just wobbling all over like a bobblehead. And I couldn't even pay attention to what she was saying because I was getting so distracted by all her whatever she was doing.
So she said that she didn't talk to Debbie the day before, or she didn't see her the day before she went missing. She threw that out there. Well, yeah, you did, because your boyfriend said you guys had lunch, as did law enforcement. Then she said she never talked to Debbie on the phone Saturday at all. Okay, well, law enforcement says you talked at noon. And then but in that same time, she says that around 5 o'clock, I think it was, or something like that, she checked her phone because her and Debbie go back and forth all day. And it had been a while since she talked to her. So she wanted to see what was going on because she hadn't, responded to her at all during the day. And then she said, no, she did not go looking for her. Law enforcement said she went looking for her. But that morning she called Enterprise and went through this whole spiel about how she found the car and all this stuff.
Yeah, the money thing too. She was like,
yeah,
they released the money to me, but the police announced they didn't know where that money was.
Yeah, within 3 days. They didn't release the money because they didn't ever have the money to release there, Amanda. You did. She talks about how successful, how successful she's been and all that stuff, and how, well, you couldn't have been that successful because you were borrowing money from not only your brother, which we saw way back in January, but your friend April, and you were borrowing money from your mother, who how many times? What, like 8 times or something? Venmoed her, like within those 2 month
Yep.
span.
Yeah.
And then she says that she offered to pay for the funeral. Well, considering you couldn't pay for your prescriptions, I mean, that was like one of the. I can't believe she did that either, Molson. So most of it was throwing her brother under the bus to try to get back at him for the things he said. But I don't know if there were moments where her temper really showed itself. With Sandy, she, like Kate said, she basically threatened to kill somebody or hurt somebody on a live. That's insane. What else did she say?
Pretty shady that her whole family thinks she did it.
All of them. And I gotta tell you, I gotta be honest. Maybe the girl cousin there, Candace, doesn't think that she did it. But I believe her husband still is in the middle, because he said something about being in the middle. And I still do not think that he believes she's completely innocent. I'm so do I, Savannah. It was maybe rebellious. That's all I can think about. I mean, she jumped so far all over the place. She couldn't even remember dates, y'all. She was saying that Saturday morning. She was saying Saturday morning she called Enterprise and did all this stuff. Well, why did you call Enterprise or say all this stuff Saturday morning? Because Debbie was alive and well Saturday morning. That would be Sunday morning. So yes, she probably just messed up the dates. But that's just one example of how all over the place she was. Like, that has to be one of the worst interviews I've ever seen as far as incriminating yourself. Yeah. And so must be.
She's a mess.
So her whole theory is that Debbie unalived. And that, okay, because remember she didn't see her mom the day before, but now she says when she saw her mom the day before, her mom was crying, that she had tears in her eyes. Okay, well, we've heard that, Amanda, you consistently fought with your mom at nighttime. Like, yeah, exactly, Molson. That was like a narcissistic parade or something. Like, everything was about her. Everybody else was at fault, not her. She was a drug addict because of bipolar. Everything. Yeah. She unalived herself. And you notice she didn't answer what was the Venmo. Like, there was never a question of what was the Venmo for. Like, what would the money have been for?
Also, if she didn't do anything to her mom, why would she ever be okay with the unaliving theory? Anyone who is not guilty would have been like her brother is. No freaking way. That makes no damn sense. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. She's all for it.
Yeah, if they come out and they say that it was unaliving, oh yeah, sorry, I'm tired. It will be strictly, I believe, because they can't prove that it wasn't. Because, like Mike said, I need to see this autopsy. I don't believe it. It wouldn't make sense. And it wouldn't, the location doesn't make sense at all. Or the Family Dollar and Chick-fil-A and stuff. Like, I mean, I guess if Chick-fil-A was her favorite restaurant and she just wanted one last, like, no. Yeah, and her tears were only, yeah, that's a good point, Rebellious. Her tears were only really when it was about herself. Yeah, they didn't press her. They didn't press her or anything. I want to interview her.
That guy, he was like, "Oh, I know I've been tough on you." Like, bro, you did not ask one hard question. Come on.
Yes, true crime with Chucky.
I thought that said true crime with Chunky. I was laughing, and then I realized it said Chucky.
Yeah. Usually I don't stream stuff, but this was, I mean, they're just a podcast. They're not even monetized. I mean, who did she call? Was it Annie? Sorry, Annie, she called a pterodactyl. I guess 10 to life.
And then, like, in literally like 5 minutes, she was like, Sandy Todd, like, I'm looking for you. You know my address. We can have a family reunion, like threatening her. And then a minute later, she starts laughing, and they're like, oh, you're such a nice killer. Ha ha ha. Like, she just threatened somebody on this YouTube channel, and you're laughing and saying how nice she is. Like, what?
I know. I know, Molson Man. Yeah, Mike, actually, I saw, he just did, because there was some, really quick for AWP, there was, people said that his LinkedIn all of a sudden changed earlier today.
Yeah, I just shared his thing on my, like, he resigned. If you want to play it, it's on my thing.
Yeah.
Statement.
Molson Man, absolutely. Kate and I, we've been just waiting for something. I mean, we've gotten nothing, so we haven't stopped researching it, but we've been like, oh my gosh. Do you want to pull it up?
Yeah, I can do it.
Thanks. So it's been there. We just waited for something else, and I think this is.
Oh yeah, pretty much everyone's left. Doug, Josh.
The only reason I think Doug is still there is I think when he said contract, I think there's something legal he's trying to get out.
I don't think he's still, like, I don't think they're not still there. Like, they've resigned, but they're still, like, contractually, I don't, like, that was them resigning, but Doug already resigned, though. Like, he pretty much said in his video, like, that's what I took.
The way that Josh, I really liked his video. He was super, super passionate. I respected his video a lot.
Yeah. But I feel like that was Doug resigning. It was just him saying, like, I can't say certain things because he's not formally resigned.
He hasn't formally done it yesterday. Like, he's hinted, so I'm sure he will. But a couple of times, I just think when he said something about there's some legal things, I don't necessarily know. Think he was talking about Jared's legal battles. I think he was talking about like him getting out of whatever they're in.
Oh, I took it like he resigned. Like that's how I like interpreted it, but maybe not.
Okay, you're gonna play it, right?
Yep, I have it up. I just need to share my screen. There you go. Hold on.
It's Wednesday, November 9th.
Can you hear it?
Just so everyone knows, as of yesterday, I formally resigned from my former place of employment, working for the search team. After hearing these allegations and listening to the information that's out there and what's available, I'm not okay with this. This is not right. And I can't sit by and support this and wait till lawyers make decisions and people wait to make statements. I just can't support it. It's not me. It's not who I am. And I don't want to be a part of it. And quite frankly, if these allegations are true, I hope justice gets served. I don't regret coming to work here and working with the teammates. You know who you are, all the people that helped, all the people that supported me and watched our videos. I appreciate it. Unfortunately, there's about possibly up to 30 more episodes that I worked on that I was either the host or the co-host on. And I don't know if I'll ever get to see those or if any of us will. We worked really hard on those. We worked with a lot of families, helped a lot of families, worked with a lot of law enforcement agencies, and brought a lot of answers to families and law enforcement around the country.
I think so, Mike.
It was an amazing time. Unfortunately, sometimes life takes you in different directions than you expect. And I've reached a fork in the road and I have to go a different direction now. So that's about all I got to say. And, if anybody wants to reach out to me with any ideas or thoughts on the future and what we can do to maybe pick up the pieces here and start this all over again, sometime in the future, you can reach out to me. My email in the description below. And with that being said, thanks again for all your support. And as soon as I have any more information coming in as to the future of what I'm going to do, or if
I feel bad for that.
My former teammates and I can brainstorm and figure out something, we will let you know. Thanks again.
Crazy.
Yeah. That sucks for all of them having to like.
I mean, Nick pretty much just got trained, right?
Yeah, that was his first dive. The Kylie Robbie case was his first dive.
That's just. I still think Jared's going to jail, but maybe not jail. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know, but I do know that the sister was starting $1 million GoFundMe for lawyer fees.
I saw that. Like, why $1 million? That's a hefty freaking number to put as your goal.
The cousin flipped out about it.
Yeah, I see the update on there.
Yeah, like, no, this is not about money. This is about justice. And I really respect that because, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, maybe they should, Savannah. I mean, you can tell they're upset. Like, I think they were lied to in some ways, too. What they knew, I don't know. But I do think that in some ways, he may have lied.
I wonder if Doug's contractually obligated in like a way because he was like the leader of like the second team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Molson. Oh yeah, Kate. Well, I can't speak for Kate. I only say Kate and I because we've talked about it before. Yeah, as far as the Kylie, like all those, yes, we're very overcovered and.
Yeah.
I have no interest to cover those cases again. I like to hop to cases, and then like when they're dull, just come back to them when stuff comes in.
When they start getting too circusy for me, I back off. And then when there's an update, I'll deal with it. But I can't do the like when all the drama starts and everything, I move on because I don't want to talk about fighting and stuff like that. I don't want to talk about, accusing people who aren't even don't even have any evidence against them. Like, all that starts happening, I'm just like, I'm going to move on to something else because I don't even want to.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow. Like, I'm sure one of us will be live, but, Richard did write a pleading letter today.
Oh yeah. And did you see that Kagan's lawyers, hold on, this is big. This is big. All right, so Kagan's lawyers filed a motion for continuance on trial, stating the parties are still in negotiations. Did I say that? Negotiations? Yeah.
Yes,
like, they're still in negotiations. So,
let's just look. I've already got it up. Let me just look at the letter quick. I know I'm getting sick. My kids, I know they got me sick.
They're currently engaged in negotiations. So, sounds to me like he sent them some information about Richard Allen, just saying.
Okay, so if you guys have not seen it, this is Richard Allen's letter today. Where did I just go there? Okay. In the case listed above, I, Richard M. Allen, hereby throw myself. Oh my God, I gotta read it in this. Hereby throw myself at the mercy of the court. I am begging to be provided with legal assistance in a public defender or whatever help is available. At my initial hearing on October 28, 2022, I asked to find representation for myself. However, at the time, I had no clue how expensive it would be to just talk to somebody right. I also did not realize what my wife and I's immediate financial situation was going to be. We have both been forced to immediately abandon employment, myself due to incarceration, and my wife for her personal safety. She has had to abandon our house for her own safety. What little reserve there is will fail to even maintain the original residence. Again, I throw myself at the mercy of the court. Please provide me with whatever assistance you may. Thank you for your time in this most urgent matter. Sincerely, and they signed his name. Dude, you murdered, allegedly, 2 girls. Did you really just say, as I throw myself at the mercy of the court? Like, what's nuts?
I'm convinced now that Kagan tipped them off and that they found a way to serve him a warrant and because they needed to search his house. And they needed to do it quickly because they knew he was a danger to other people. I think Kagan ratted him out because Kagan and law enforcement are literally in negotiations right now. They've been in negotiations. So, just that's very telling to me that they filed that motion and said that the parties are in negotiations still.
Yep.
So I think they found a way to search his. I think they pushed off that tool story, as a way to get a search warrant, and they got in there and found what they needed. And I think they're gonna arrest a bunch of other people too. I just feel it.
I think more is gonna come out tomorrow. But all right, I'm gonna hop off here before I start giving it like a coughing fit.
All right.
But I don't know what's going on, but I know that's weird too, Mike. I'm going to talk about that because I want to talk about this tomorrow. Like the way he talks about his wife is if she's still on his side. So that's interesting too. But all right, yo, I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you somehow tomorrow. All right, guys, bye.